crowd hushed as the magistrate approached the bench.
Mary Barnes of Farmington, wife of Thomas Barnes, thou art indicted that not having the fear of God before thine eyes, thou hast entertained familiarity with the devil, and by his help hast done works above the course of nature, for which, by the law of this commonwealth, thou deservest to die.
The sound of the gavel seemed to split the air in two. Some sighed, others whispered prayers, and still others looked on with a satisfaction I could not bear. I had known Mary not as a witch, nor worker of foul arts, but as she truly was, a woman of quiet courage, of learning rare among our kind, and of a heart too merciful for the world into which she was born. I first came to her when the fever struck my sister. Mary came to the house, unbidden, with her basket of simples, roots, and dried leaves bound with twine. She stayed through the night, tending my sister, speaking soft words from the Psalms while she cooled her brow. When dawn came, my sister slept soundly for the first time in days. Mary would not take payment. The Lord's mercy is in all his works, she said. After that, I began to help her gather herbs by the river bank. She said my hands were steady, that I should learn the ways of the plants if ever I wished to serve others. In truth, I wished only to see her, to feel that strange peace that followed wherever she walked. Her husband, Thomas, could not abide our friendship. He was a hard man, small in spirit, loud in anger. Once, when I called at their door to bring Mary and the children a basket of rosemary, I found him in the yard, shouting over a broken rake. Mary stood silent beside the fence, her sleeve torn and blood at her lip. The children looked on, cowering inside the house. Mary said she had fallen, but I saw the mark of his hand upon her face. That night, I sat awake until morning, hating myself for having done nothing. After that, I visited more often, bringing her small things, flaxseed for the hens, a spool of thread, a book of verses I thought she'd like. She never spoke ill of her husband, though the bruises told their own stories. She laughed sometimes, softly, as though she still believed goodness might yet be found in this world. I think I loved her from the first moment she smiled at me, though I scarcely knew it then. That was the autumn Thomas's crop failed. As his debts grew heavy, he turned his bitterness upon his wife. He said her herbs were witchcraft, that she had brought ruin to the household. The neighbors were eager to believe it. They said she was too clever with her medicines, too knowing of nature's secrets. They said no woman should have such skills unless she had bargained with the devil. The morning the men came for her, the ground was still wet from rain. I had stopped by the Barnes house with eggs from my hens when I saw, at the gate, a constable from Hartford reading from a parchment. Another man was binding Mary's wrists. Her children clung to her skirts, wailing in fear and confusion. She hushed them softly, saying she would be home by supper. In the doorway stood Thomas, arms folded. He did not touch her. He did not utter a word. Her trial lasted 2 days. The witnesses brought naught but idle hearsay. Neighbors spoke of the failed crop and seeing her in the meadow at strange hours. One woman claimed a young boy took ill after a visit to their home. The magistrates treated each word like gospel, and my dear Mary was sentenced to hang. Frost clung to the gallows on the morning of her death. She wore a gray gown, dark hair rippling in the wind. I stood far from the scaffold, hidden among the crowd. I wanted to look away, but I couldn't. Mary did not cry. She did not plead. She looked out at us, at the faces that once greeted her in the market, that had taken her medicines, her kindness, her prayers, and I think she pitied us. She was right with her God. Then the rope went taut, and my world went quiet.
Good evening.
Yeah, welcome back.
Well,
So we kind of touched on Connecticut when we were talking about our boy Matt Rife buying, the Annabelle doll house. And it definitely piqued our interest. And once we started diving into research, witches, baby.
yeah.
Witches.
Yeah, Ed and Lorraine Warren, which, by the way, I've now seen Conjuring the Last Rite, which has thus ended my Conjuring universe.
Okay.
You know,
R.I.P.
Until they tell us that they've made another one.
Yeah. New cast.
Yeah, I decided to go down that little rabbit hole, right, into Connecticut, and what did we discover, guys? The truth.
The
There
real
be
truth.
witches?
So, first of all, welcome back to our new season,
Yeah.
right? This is our Connecticut season.
Welcome, my
Welcome,
pretties.
friends.
Also, I'm Dale, in case anyone forgot.
And I'm Dina.
I'm Amanda. And I know people say that our voices sound the same, but
Mhm.
probably because I've been friends with you both for so long. I'm like, how?
You just know.
Yeah.
You'll get to know us.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So once we started doing research, it was bananas how wrong this country has gotten the witch trials.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say wrong, but
Okay.
I would say it's kind of like the way social media is now. Whatever has gotten more publicity
Yep.
is what we
Yeah.
all remember.
Yep.
So Salem had better marketing than
Yeah.
Connecticut did.
That is
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
And why? Because they were louder.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll get into that in a little bit. But I had a really great question because I wanted to nerd out as I was typing up my notes last night before Lucifer knocked on my door.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. If you don't know what she's talking about, head over to Dina Folktown's Instagram page because that was terrifying.
Yeah. He decided to send me a little message on my computer, and I said, "Not today."
Did
Satan."
you offer him Earl Grey tea?
Yeah.
I did not. I immediately lit my sage and left the room. I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Me and Dean we're gonna go do something else for a little while.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it might be time to take a break.
Take a hot min.
Yeah. Apparently, I don't know. Maybe he was just like, listen, the witches be my girls. I don't know. I was like, listen, I'm on your side. I don't understand what the problem is.
I'm with
here.
you.
Yeah.
I mean, your shirt literally says they didn't burn witches, they burned women.
And I have a pin.
And you have a pin.
I gave it
My
to
pin's
us all.
Yeah,
mine's
we
on my
all have
bag.
them.
out there, my
Yes.
Folktown.
Or I don't know. Maybe he was just sending me a sign. I've actually seen sixes in a lot of places lately. So.
Maybe that was his way of being like, yes.
Thank you for getting
Tell
the
their
message out.
stories.
Yeah.
Oh, I like
Yeah.
that better, Dale. Yeah,
Yeah.
good job.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think that's
Hence
it.
the marketing.
Mm.
I think that's
But
it.
well, it made me think. And you can answer this however you'd like. But who do you think was the first witch? Like when you think about witches back in your day,
Mhm.
who's the first witch that pops into your mind?
Do you mean in our lives, right? Like, who was
Yeah,
the first person I thought was
Your
a witch?
first
I guess.
introduction to
We'll start
witches?
there. Sure. Who's your first witch? Who was your first?
Well, his name. No, I'm just kidding. So, my immediate answer, because we talked a little bit about this before we started recording, is I was thinking the witch from Snow White.
Hmm.
But I am going to be honest with you. And I've
Please.
mentioned it before. My grandmother.
Mm.
And I did not put that together until
Mhm,
we were just
mhm,
talking about
mhm,
this.
mhm.
Because of her religion and the way that
Sure.
she practiced, I just thought that was like, oh, she's like a Puerto Rican witch.
Mhm, mhm.
Which is not true. That is a very ignorant statement now. Like
Mhm.
I've learned more, but I definitely thought she was a witch.
Valid.
100%.
Because she was mean, or because no?
No, because she practiced
I'm
Santeria.
I'm
but
totally just.
she also would walk around and put like bottles of like blessed water in our closets when she'd come visit, and tiny little like totems.
Why in the closet?
Bro, I don't
Spirits?
know.
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe that's like a
Yo,
channel.
Grandma Carmen, why the closet?
Yeah.
I would want to know that.
Let's see if we could probably contact her.
Okay.
And she would put little, I want to say that they're totems, but what would you call them? Like little, like rocks
Offerings?
and yeah, like tied with twine and sticks and stuff.
Okay.
And she would put them in our closet when she would come visit from the Bronx, and always had them for
Is
our
it like
bedrooms.
protection spells, maybe?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
But like when I was younger,
Yeah, you didn't think anything of
I
it?
really didn't think a lot of it, but I really thought she was a witch.
Yeah.
But my first real witch, I would say, is Snow White, the witch, the mean one with the wart on her nose.
Okay. Dale.
I answered it differently when you first asked this question.
Yeah, but it was
I
so
had a
good because it
minute.
was like instantaneous.
So right off the bat, I said Glinda, but I think it's because that's just so relevant right
was
now.
so honest.
right?
Yeah.
But if I'm diving back into like childhood me,
Oh, I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say.
Do not say Roald Dahl.
No.
No.
I know what
Why?
she's gonna say. I know what she's gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. I'm so excited because I just guessed it. Go.
I'm impressed if you know what I'm going to say. Ursula.
I knew it. I knew it. Because Little Mermaid's her favorite Disney movie.
and
I
like
knew it.
Is she a witch?
yeah, she's
Yes,
a
she's
sea
Sea
witch.
Witch.
Valid.
So like
All right.
that's
As
the
you both yell.
Yeah.
Wait. Do you know why I'm so
Fucking
intensely
Disney.
watching this?
I hate
One
you
of my
both.
new favorite tasks is take an edible and play Disney Dreamlight Valley on my Switch.
Is
and Ursula
pissed
casts
Tina
spells.
off by bringing up a Disney movie, but okay.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, but that's
Well,
the thing.
Snow White was Disney,
But
I get it. But it wasn't
also-
original.
I also so Little Mermaid was like my go-to favorite, and I think that
Mhm.
we touched on this a little bit in our Mermaids main
Mhm.
season. But I was gifted a Little Mermaid book by a bookstore owner. It's the cutest little man, owned a little bookshop in the town that I grew up in, and he gifted me the Little Mermaid story, but the real Little
Mhm.
Mermaid story. And Ursula is also in that, and she is a wicked witch lady.
Mm-hmm.
So that is my first
I like that.
witch.
That's a
For
good
Ursula
one.
is a good one.
That is a
Okay,
good one.
Now, Dina.
Yeah.
Tina.
Dina.
And I mean, technically, we're all kind of going back to the
Childhood.
OG,
Yeah.
right? If we think about it, and Grimm's Brothers, right? Even
Mhm.
Hans Christian Andersen.
Mhm.
So, and I thought back and I said Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah.
Because that witch I was introduced to with a movie version with Cloris Leachman as the witch, and she scared the living poop out of me. But it was such a good movie. Like, it was such a good scare, you know,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
yeah.
just like, this is kind of terrifying, but in a good way, because I
Wait.
just thought she did such a good job.
Is this where your horror, like enjoying being scared, started?
No, that was totally Monster Squad.
Okay.
That's one of my first memories.
Ooh.
The werewolf transformation scene in the telephone booth was.
It's so good.
was-
Wolfman's got
also-
nards.
Also, this is I'm just gonna throw this one out
Mhm.
here too, because it's also probably another intro of witches for me. Is Halloween Town?
Oh my god, I love Halloween Town so much. I wish I was
Those were
Marnie.
my I
wish I was Marnie.
very obsessed.
We've
with
all
that.
talked about
That was
this.
a good one.
I love the
Mhm.
craft. Like I
See, and
wanted to be
and
a witch.
but I wanted to go back further
Yeah,
than the
yeah,
craft.
yes,
I
yeah.
wanted it because I was like,
But
I
I
can
was
be
also taught
Yeah.
that like
wanted to be
my
that.
grandma was not to me like witches were not bad.
Mhm.
But more of what she did I thought is along the voodoo line than
Sure.
it is witchcraft. But I
Mhm.
obviously didn't know the
Mhm.
difference. But it is pretty interesting. And I really am enjoying the conversation that's been happening in pop culture. And
Mhm.
there's definitely something to be said about how a lot of women that were Christian or Catholic growing up are now leaning more towards the spiritual side of witchcraft and
Mhm.
manifesting and energy and crystals. And there is something to be said about that, but we're saying the quiet part out loud. They did not burn witches, they burned women. It was a
Yeah.
very patriarchal thing to do.
mhm.
And they blamed them for the tiniest things. Bad crop, witch,
well,
Sick kid, witch.
witch.
well, what's actually funny is in America, no witches were burned. It was a complete stereotype.
Mhm.
If anything, they were hanged when they were executed. You know, you'd have to go.
Sounds cooler if you're burning witches.
It does, right? And that's
Mm.
the Hollywood vibe to it. You'd have
Mhm.
to go way back further and, head across the pond for anything in
I
terms
did
of
not
fire.
know that.
Mhm.
You know,
I did not know that.
again had to look that one up. You
Yeah.
know,
Really?
But I mean, I'm so many things were not documented,
Right.
so it's an alleged
Yeah.
thing.
Absolutely.
But you know, to go back to, well, we'll get to Connecticut in a minute. But I dove down this little tunnel, and I was like, okay, well, which witch was the first witch, right?
Which was the witch?
And no one knows because there's so
How do
many.
you know
There's
that?
so many
Yeah.
different paths we can go down.
Mhm.
So many different cultures we could go down. You know, some people can say. You had said ancient Greece before. You could say Hecate, right? You can go into the Hebrew Bible, and there was the Book of Samuel that talks about the witch of Endor,
Mhm.
which I totally like. The moment I started reading that, Schmidt popped into my head, and I was like, "Say it,
Judaism, son.
right?"
Also, can I just say, I can never pronounce her. It's Hecate.
yeah, I had to look
Okay.
it up to make sure I said it right.
My friend, I don't think I should say her name. My friend,
Mhm.
first time she ever reached out to Hecate,
Mhm.
this is not an exaggeration. The next day, a fluffy black cat came out of the woods and is now her cat.
Oh, I love that for
That's
her.
fun.
It's the first
Mhm.
time she reached out to them.
So her
To her, I'm
familiar?
sorry.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, you know, but all of these things, you know, that were recorded, you can try and date it back, but there's so many different cultures, so many different versions.
Yeah.
And then you have these religious texts that are they spiral, right? And they're rooted in basically, sorry, I'm going to say it, misogyny
Mhm.
and prejudice. And then enter the American colonies,
Mhm.
where we have this influx of Puritanism, which, wow, not fun.
No.
Zero good. You know what? 0 out of 10
Yikes.
would not recommend if you're a lady.
Or
I'm sorry, not even
people,
if you were
just
late.
People.
Yeah.
It's just people.
Oh, okay. First off, they didn't have anxiety medication back then.
Right.
And I said to JL before, I wouldn't even have wanted to breathe wrong
Mhm.
if I was in one of these colonies. Like, your clothes could have been pressed incorrectly,
Mhm.
and you might have been a witch. Because
Can you explain Puritan
I will
to me?
happily.
Yeah, just like a
Because-
little definition for.
It's going to be the word of the day, folks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Puritan, word of the day, folkers. Okay. So apparently Puritans were Christians,
Okay.
but not all Christians are Puritans.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So let's digest that.
It's the bourbon whiskey thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
All bourbons are
Aha.
whiskeys, but not all whiskeys are bourbons.
Yes, and
Fun.
and I love
Yes.
like that you use that analogy with our witches that
Yep.
we did interview, right? Because it definitely comes back to that it's just this like wild double standard almost.
Mhm.
But the bottom line is that the main difference is that Christian, right, quote unquote, is this broad term of followers of Christ,
Mhm.
while Puritan, and you got to think like pure,
The
right?
name.
Mhm.
The
Right.
name there. Yeah.
Puritans are like
Mhm.
the purest of the pure, right? In their minds, at least. They're this reform movement that their way is the purest way, and it's just very intense. And they search for signs of God. Well, I should say God's favor
Mhm.
in everything. So God's favor, his anger, and it legit gave everyone anxiety,
Mhm.
It's
which sounds about right.
I
Because
was going to
yeah.
say it just really outlines what we call it, the commercialized version of what witchcraft became, like the
Mhm.
commercialized version, right? Like, so you watch these movies growing up. I mean, let's
Yeah.
just look back to Hocus Pocus, the very beginning of Hocus Pocus, right? Like, they're on their little farm and she's got her little
Mhm,
bonnet
mhm.
on.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
And you've got this idea of what witches look like. And I think
Mhm.
it goes right back to what Puritans
Mhm.
looked like and were documented to look like.
Mhm.
And it is so plain. It is so, everyone looked the exact same. Like,
Yeah, because you weren't supposed to stand out because you were supposed to be as
Absolutely
close
not.
as you possibly could get to
Yes.
God. You should not even be like, you shouldn't look any different. You shouldn't do anything that would
Mhm.
make you stand out because you are just one
Correct.
with.
And it's the word that you just used. It's difference,
Mhm.
right? There should not be any difference.
yeah.
So these people, this movement, right? They had accepted that humanity was condemned to eternal damnation, which sounds fun.
Sick.
Really.
It sounds very similar to Never mind.
Now.
And their belief system and kind of lifestyle was marked, right? Hard work, conformity. We're all in this together, right? But bottom of the bottom, like we don't deserve anything. And I can understand that. Like we got to work for it. Okay, sure.
It's almost like the beginning of Quakers. That's what it reminds me of. Like Quakers are very much like, let's work together as a society. But the Quakers are
It's like peace.
Peace. And like the Quakers are what the Puritans thought they were being.
Love
Do you know what I'm
that.
saying?
And I'm going to ask you to hold that thought
Okay.
as we
Oh.
venture into Connecticut. Yeah, absolutely.
As we take our little ship.
Yes, because right now, and if we're picturing, let's say like the early to mid 1600s, right? Around 1637 in Connecticut, we have the Pequot Wars beginning with the indigenous people. We have some of the coldest winters happening. We have floods. We have livestock being killed by like, you know, animals in the woods. And we have epidemics. Dude, this is like
Diseases.
the hardest time to be alive in this area.
You live to be like 40 on a good day.
You're lucky.
40 was the goal.
You're lucky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you lived too long, you were probably a witch. If this happened to you, but not your neighbor, what's happening over there?
Right.
Everything was suspicious.
You're sinning.
Total sus. Okay. So that makes you think, like, what could you get accused of? Right? What made you a witch? Because, and you know, you're pointing out hocus pocus, right? Like, yeah, they're standing over this cauldron, right? And they have that stereotypical witch look. But that's not what made somebody a witch like we would think, like these Halloween-y, like, let me put on my big pointed hat kind of thing. These were people that were healers that, like you said, that people are getting back to now, that like lived off the land and wanted the roots and just were, I don't know, in my opinion, thriving
Yeah.
the way that they figured out how to thrive.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
I feel like the people that figured out, like, okay, this is what we're up against. What can we do to survive this?
Right.
Those were the first people they were pointing to, because now all of a sudden, this woman has plentiful crops. Her and her husband are having these wonderful crops. They have,
They're taking care of the earth.
they're taking care
and
of-
giving back to the earth.
but
as
they're
opposed to-
doing better than the others, which is like, from what you've described, the opposite
Yep.
of what the Puritans.
anyone who defied these social norms, which we can assume would happen, right? You live in this kind of lifestyle. You learn, I don't like it. I want something different. I want something better. People eventually learn to think for themselves.
Yeah.
And you create this discomfort amongst other people. You make other people uncomfortable. And yes, women were a huge target, especially
Like
if
our story that we just listened to.
Yeah.
you make men uncomfortable. And of course, they're the ones in power.
Yeah. And you can't know more than a man.
Unfortunately, anyone who was mentally ill at the time and anyone who was transient or poor, they were huge targets. And so any of these things could be defined as a witch. It wasn't that you were, you know, concocting something in your cauldron.
Right.
You were just different.
Yeah.
And so that became synonymous with the word witch. You were different.
So did the Puritan movement come to the United States as the colonies were being settled, or was this something that kind of grew within the colonies as these colonies were not only settled, but now they're growing, expanding? You have farmland. Like, is that a religious movement that just grew? Because we all live here in the tri-state area, right? So having grown up in that area, obviously these are some of the first colonies settled. We are the hubbub, the areas.
That's a great question. I would have to look at,
Yeah.
you know, dates to really like determine that. But, you know, we're talking about what? Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts.
New York, not so much. I feel like at this time wasn't.
Some of them escaped to New York.
They
I found
did.
out, like the
'Cause-
Westchester County area.
Yeah,
Hey-yo,
yeah.
You know,
That ties back to our Sleepy Hollow, right? Because we did talk about that in Sleepy Hollow in the first season
Witches in
of
Sleepy
Witches and Sleepy Hollow.
Mhm.
Yeah.
well, this is why I was like, boo, Salem. You know,
Sorry, Salem.
getting all the press here, but these witch trials didn't start in Salem. They actually started 45 years prior to Salem in technically various areas of Connecticut during this time. We're talking like, what, 1640s into late, almost 1700s in Connecticut,
Yeah.
Hartford, Wethersfield, and I was
Hartford, Emily and Richard Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
like, oh, near their like
Sleepy
coffee
Hollow.
shop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sleepy Hollow.
I wonder if they were there.
I said Sleepy Hollow. It's not Sleepy Hollow. Oh my God, I'm watching it right now. Stars Hollow. I almost couldn't remember it. Lauren Graham. Lauren Graham.
I forgot for a second.
I'm so sorry, Lauren.
And me sitting here like, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm on the last season. It's the worst.
And I'm like, yeah, sorry, wrong Dean.
But he is a dean.
he is a
Yes. Okay, continue.
But do you ever wonder why like Salem is so well known and Connecticut's not?
Can I make one guess?
Go for
Just
it.
because during research for this is they do not have a lot documented at this time, right?
Sure don't.
Mhm.
So even my story,
Mhm.
I'm going to read to you the same quote presented to me very different ways,
Mhm.
both documented by two different people.
Love that.
But
Was it? Never mind. You'll tell me.
yes, but every single thing is we don't really know why.
Mhm.
We don't know why because documentation was a little bit harder at that time.
Mhm.
And since Salem happened, what'd you say, like 40, 50 years later, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe documentation had gotten to that point where it was so much more information is readily available because it's documented better.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be
There's
that?
a better paper trail,
Paper trail, yeah, just better documentation, maybe more educated people
or that's
in
just
Salem being with the ability to write and record.
just the white man decided that would be written in history books.
Yes. Tis that as well.
This is what we will cover.
I want to tell you yes. I cannot tell you
okay.
yes.
If you did, I'd believe you. So you can.
I mean, maybe that.
I just heard Tucker shake and it sounded like like a monster in here.
Yeah, there's a little monster.
He's our little monster.
I mean, I heard something. I just saw your.
Grandma Carmen, is that you? My abuelita has come.
I didn't know you were looking at. Anyway, documentation 45 years later might have had something to do with it. I don't know, but Connecticut was a longer period of time. These things were
Mhm.
drawn out more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Years.
Yes.
Yeah.
Might have had something to do with it.
Mhm.
Salem was 1692. Okay.
Yeah.
In the span of 7 months only, which I thought was wild. So a shorter amount of time. It was only 7 months,
Mhm.
20 people executed, and then it was just mass hysteria,
Mhm.
right? Not really following any legal protocols. I mean, it was just wild. So it's like I was saying before, they were just crazier about it. And I
Yeah.
think because of that, that's why it was remembered.
That's true because it's in a shorter amount of time, right? So it feels like this very intense,
Right.
where Connecticut it's spread out. It's like, well, another hanging, you know?
Yeah.
But that makes sense because if it's happening within such a short amount of time and 20 people are, you know, quote unquote, are being accused of witches in a short amount of time for all that bad stuff to happen, it would feel more sensationalized and people would just be like losing their mind. Like this is the end of the
Also,
world.
they were all executed, correct? Or
In Salem?
yeah,
When you say all, what
Like
do you
all
mean?
20.
like all 20.
20 were
All of the
executed.
people that were accused?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I wondered if that
you know what?
maybe
No.
knocked
No,
the
there were
balance.
some that
that were
wound
acquitted.
up giving names of other
Ah.
people so that they
Yep,
could
so
be
they got off the
let
hook.
off. That's correct.
Yo,
Yeah.
snitches get stitches. What are you
Yeah.
thinking?
Well, that was what some people had to do.
I mean,
Yeah, I
can you
get it.
imagine? That had to be the most terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Now, in Connecticut, numbers seem to vary for me, but it seemed 11 was the number that I
Kept coming back to.
Yes.
Interesting.
However, if you look on some of their websites, which now the documentation is absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
You could see a list of 51 names
Mhm.
of women and men
Mhm.
that had been accused.
Yeah.
Not necessarily executed, but accused.
Mhm.
This was 9 women and 2 men that had been executed between 1647 and 1663, right? Plenty more actually accused. But why this was under the radar? I mean, it was a capital offense, punishable by death to be accused of the witch. The law read, any man or woman to be a witch, that is, hath there consulted with a familiar spirit, they shall be put to death. These were called blue laws, which I kind of loved. I was like, ooh, what's a blue law? And it's one of those laws that are just very religious. You know, it reminded me of kind of how like in Jersey, you know, on Sunday everything's closed.
Yes.
Because it's, you know, it's a Sunday.
Yes.
And they were passed from England and the Massachusetts Bay Colony. They supported the Old Testament. Super religious here, right? And they're like, nope, you're a witch. You're done.
You're outie.
But how do you get brought up on these charges? Well, there's a lot of reasons.
Okay, give me some examples, because when I was doing my research, and I know you talked about this, Dale, because you were in your book, I mean, like, you were not kidding. Breathing wrong.
Yeah.
Wearing a brighter color than is accepted.
If your neighbor's child got sick, you must be a witch.
Yes. That's how it started.
Yeah.
Well, at this time also, there's something going on called the Great Hartford Controversy in the 1650s that I found was wild, okay? So what this was is that the church had gone under a new reverend, okay? His name was Samuel Stone, who comes back around, I think, in some later stories.
Samuel.
Not a bad dude, it seems. I think he was trying to make some looser rules. Because at the time, to receive, I think to become baptized, you had to undergo like a full communion. You had to kind of go through this conversion experience, right? And when Samuel Stone comes in, he argued that baptism should be more widely available, and he believed that parents who were upright, non-scandalous citizens, I love that that was the term. I don't know what defines you as being
scandalous.
non-scandalous.
I saw ankle.
They should be able to have their children baptized. People literally lost their minds at this. It was a huge debate. It eventually, in 1662, was settled that as long as your grandparents had that done, you were good to be baptized. So these were looser rules. So it was just like the changing of the times.
Sure.
Right now, people were not happy. But this makes so much sense to me, because when you think about how people were tried during witch trials, right? Water was a big thing. There was the water test. Yeah. Right? This was a common superstition of the time that they used to test, right? That it was a belief that a person who had renounced baptism had made this pact with the devil, right? And would be rejected by the pure element of water. And then they would float.
You would be so screwed.
Why? I was baptized.
I know, but they'd be like, get in the water. You'd be like, no, I will not. Are you serious?
Yeah,
Bring the water to me.
I mean, the fact that we'll get to that, but yeah, I'd be like, well, I don't even swim, so I better float because I'm going to sink either way. So anyway, you brought up somebody, her neighbor being sick, right? Alice Young. She starts this all off. She's from Windsor, Connecticut. And it's it's not documented. That's the problem. There's no documentations, but she's allegedly the first person who goes down for this. May 26, 1647. And the theory is she was accused of getting her neighbor's daughter sick to the point that she died.
I mean, they're literally living in their own shit. Okay? They're not washing their, so of course you're getting sick.
Also, like, I'm thinking back to like the water thing. So they're being thrown into the water, right? Fully clothed, right?
And they got a lot of clothes
Gowns, cloaks, boots. They're wearing all of that. What do you think happens when that gets wet? It pulls you.
Especially because it's heavy fabric.
So, like, they're being pulled down because they're sobbing wet with heavy clothing. Just saying.
Well, so the neighbor lost 4 children in this epidemic, but for some reason she gets blamed for it, for starting this epidemic, which could have very well been something like influenza at the time.
Sure.
Again, no documentation. Nobody knows why she's the one that was accused of this. I have no idea. Yeah. But this is where it gets interesting, that here's what a witch trial would have involved. Okay, here are the phases. Misfortune. I love this. This is what kicks it off. You have misfortune, AKA what? Bad luck.
Yeah.
I'm
Crops
done.
Fail.
I'm so dead.
I'm a teacher. What? I don't even want to. I'm literally like, I open my mouth and then they're going to be like, she's gone.
Yeah.
And we're done.
She's
a
witch.
Identification of the culprit, right? So you have misfortune, you identify the culprit, and then a complaint is filed. A warrant is filed for apprehension. They arrest the suspect. The examination question begins. There's an intense physical examination by a jury of women and possibly the water test to see if the suspect sinks or floats. Sinking was a sign of innocence.
What?
Yeah, but then you die, so.
Correct. While floating...
She's innocent.
Dang, we were wrong.
Cool.
Floating suggested you were guilty, in which then you would probably be put to death.
So did they ever, I wonder if they ever had a test where they floated, because obviously all these witches were wearing clothes.
Well, I love that this continues, because I don't know how you would make it past that part. Following the examination, the suspect was usually jailed unless this magistrate thought there was evidence to proceed with the investigation. Testimonies were gathered, an indictment was written, the grand jury reviewed the indictment. If they returned the verdict ignoramus, love that, meaning there was insufficient evidence, and the suspect would be released. And if they return the indictment with a true bill, they find there is enough evidence for a trial. So all of these things are happening in Connecticut, right? They didn't do this stuff in Salem. They just believed everybody's word, and that's why the hysteria happened.
Right.
This is also why Connecticut and all of their rulings eventually led to a lot more legal proceedings and laws being filed. Yay for Connecticut.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's pretty great.
And, you know, I could keep going. There's still way more. So in Connecticut's case, we don't know if some of these sites were where things like this happened, but essentially you were hanged. And hey, guess what? If you were hanged, you didn't get to be buried in church. Nobody knows where your body was going.
Yeah.
So poor Alice Young, nobody knows where she was buried after
I
this.
know, and I did see, maybe we can talk about this at the end. Wasn't there a thing that we were talking about is like 2008 or 2000, right?
2013.
2013, okay. And they did a...
They read
the names of the women.
Yeah,
and
not
men.
all of them, but some of them.
Yeah,
I actually thought it was like 2023. Was it 2013?
I think so. Like the latest.
Oh.
and they kind of said like these were the people
Pardoned.
that were, they pardoned them
all,
because there's no place where their bodies are. And I saw this. There's a brick in Windsor Hall.
2012. 2008 was the first round. Then 2012 was the latest.
Yeah.
At Town Hall in Windsor, Connecticut, they have these bricks and with the names of the witches that were,
I think that's really incredible that
and there's one for Alice Young, and
Yeah.
it says witch hanging victim May 26, 1647.
Yeah.
And she, just for the record, I'm pretty sure she did have a daughter. So that is
So sad.
that is pretty incredible that descendants of
Yeah.
families like have continued to fight for their family's name.
And I don't blame them because it's again, we're getting more eyes on it. Maybe it's cultural because people are more interested in these things, but it is you kind of this is attached to your name back then. Back then, that's all you had. That was your currency. What family did you come from? That is the currency in which you are respected or not respected, charged or not charged. Like these are, you want an opportunity or a job. Oh, I'm sorry, your last name is Young. Are you related to Alice Young, who was a witch? Yeah, I don't think so. We were not dealing with that.
I think that also really hurts their reputation and like set them up for the rest of their lives. Is if they were convicted and then they were let go, it's not like they lived a good life after that.
Course.
Most of them either fled because they couldn't like repair their reputation, or they were again accused and thus
very Scarlet
continuing
Letter
the story.
right?
Yeah.
Well, the first documented case didn't even wind up in Connecticut until 1662. So think about that. That's a significant amount of time before we even have anything written down enough to then research.
Yeah.
And that is Goody Heiress. I love the Goody part.
Me
What did we
too.
find out that was? That was like
There
Miss,
was the name.
Mrs.,
The name,
right?
like it's essentially was Mrs.
Yeah.
And this all became because of the douche canoe, John Winthrop Jr., right? He became the magistrate.
We like him.
No,
We
he's
do like him?
actually, yeah, he
No,
actually,
he's a
yep.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
Because when we were talking about him, the better.
Yeah.
the
Okay.
positive, yes.
Okay,
Yes.
because
Or
I
at
remember
least
us talking
right
about
direction.
him when we were researching, and I wasn't sure if he was the bad guy or the good
No,
guy. But he's the good guy.
He's a good guy. We like him.
Junior, he's a junior.
He's a junior.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, JR.
Yeah.
All right, JR.
So with this one though, sounds more like Salem. We have, again, her neighbor's kid 8-year-old Elizabeth Kelly. Lots of Elizabeths we've discovered.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
it was a
Very
big name.
popular name.
She was fine one day when she's hanging out with this good wife here. And then she comes home after sharing apparently a bowl of broth, falls ill for the next 5 days. She suffered prolonged stomach pain. She was delusional and apparently screaming about how good wife Eris was hurting her.
Okay, that's a fever.
Saying, Father, Father, help me. Good wife Eris is upon me. She chokes me. She kneels on my belly. She will break my bowels. She pinches me. She will make me black and blue.
And I will once again say, are you reading from 50 Shades of Grey?
Mhm.
No, to me, this is more like exorcist status.
Okay, great.
She torments me. She pricks me with pins. She will kill me. Oh, Father. What books are you reading? That's just delayed reaction, but oh my.
Dark romance.
I'll give you the list.
Okay.
Later.
Oh, Father, set on the great furnace and scald her. Get the broad axe and cut off her head.
A little
An
different.
8-year-old says this?
But like, I don't know. That's disturbing. Eventually, she passes away.
Well.
Now, I don't know. This is coming from the father that she
Mhm.
allegedly said this,
Right.
right? And so after she passes away, this reddish tawny spot had suddenly appeared on the child's cheek next to the side where Goody Eris had stood when she came to pay her last respects.
The
So-
mark of the devil.
Yes, of course. So now, historically speaking, they said this could have also been bronchial pneumonia. Eris and her husband abandoned their own 8-year-old son because she's now been accused of witchcraft and left behind all their possessions, skipped town avoiding
Where'd the poor
this
little
death
boy go?
sentence. Don't worry, he's okay.
Okay.
Okay, because this is what they hear. Rightfully so.
Wait,
I wouldn't
this
have
is
left.
the parents of the little girl? They're
Yeah.
being accused of witchcraft?
Well, just the wife.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Because here's what they hear, okay? The accused would be crossbound, right hand to left toe, and left hand to right toe. Then the accused was laid on the surface of the water in a shallow pond to see if he or she would float. One theory was that the witch, having made a convent with the devil, had renounced baptism and therefore would be rejected by the pure element of water. So again, here's your water test. So this poor woman was probably terrified. So they pack up, leave their son, and flee. They probably fled to New York or Rhode Island, which, unlike Massachusetts, did not have an extradition treaty with Connecticut.
Okay.
So they'd be safe. So the son is fine. He winds up being taken care of by somebody else, okay? And they get away. They don't have to come back. But she is the first person now who gets accused and indicted of witchcraft, and it starts spiraling from there.
Cute.
Yeah.
Cute. Also, I did have in my notes, February 6, 2017, Alice Young was formally exonerated by Windsor Town Court.
Nice.
It was right there. I just
Yeah.
forgot how to read, apparently.
Yeah,
so
that
ignore me. Okay, so she's the first.
And where do we go from here? I wouldn't.
Can we tie it back to Outlander for a hot minute?
Oh, my God! You know I was just gonna do that.
Yeah.
Can we just tie it back to Outlander? Because Claire
I
obviously
cannot
gets
believe you
accused
just
of
said that.
witchcraft, right?
Mhm.
Because Larry is mad
Because she got her man.
because she got her man. And like back then, it just took a rumor. And
Yeah.
obviously we're talking about Scotland.
Yeah.
But it is, to me, that where they threw them in the hole,
Mhm.
in the thieves' hole, they called it.
Mhm.
Stop it! I was literally just gonna be like, and when I look at this picture,
Yeah.
That's Claire.
It's Claire.
that
It's Claire.
scene.
Yes.
Yes, 100%.
Mhm.
And there's something about that. We should probably rename the podcast to 48 Degrees of Separation to Jamie Fraser.
Yeah.
But but the way that they did that trial where
Mhm.
everybody is just so like, nope, I saw her do this. Nope, that is so reminiscent of what's happening here. All it took was a rumor.
Yeah.
God forbid you are an attractive woman
Mm-hmm.
in a Puritanical society, I'm sorry, and some
Done.
man looks at you the wrong way
Mm-hmm.
and his wife gets pissed off
Yeah. Because you're seducing him.
with your feminine wiles.
Well, you know that all of these things inspired the story, The Witch of Blackbird Pond.
Yes, which a lot of people used as this was the fact. And isn't there like a lot of inconsistencies.
Well, they were Quakers. That's why I thought it was interesting you brought up Quakers. Some of these women had been accused of things like theft or, like you're saying, adultery or whatever it is. And maybe it was easier to define them as witch because maybe that word is just all-encompassing.
Sure.
For a woman? I don't know. What is there logic in this?
I don't know.
No, I don't think there was a line. I don't think there was a clear. And what's interesting, the story that I have for you guys is
lay it on.
Yeah.
It kind of ties all this into place because this woman was not tried once. She was not tried twice, but she was tried 3 times. 3.
Well, 3 is the devil's
times.
number.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
This is the story of Elizabeth Seeger. ER. I just made Dina choke. So
Is she gonna float? Are you floating?
We all float here.
So this lady, she lived in Hartford, Connecticut.
With Emily and Richard?
Yeah.
Okay.
Probably. She probably lived in their house.
Great.
Before the house existed, because it's mid 1600s when she was living there. So maybe a little bit before the time that they were there. And she is known today as one of the few people in colonial America to be accused of witchcraft 3 separate times and survived each one.
That's what I call a lucky witch.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I think we just started a new hashtag right there.
Lucky witch.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So her first accusation came in 1662 during what's obviously we kind of touched on this a little bit, known as the Hartford Witch Panic. And this was the full 30, 40 years before the trials in Salem. So this is all kind of new and they're freaking out. A woman named Anne Cole had fallen ill, suffering fits of violent trances, claiming she was being tormented by witches.
Okay, pause for a second. Why does it seem like so ridiculous to get ill during this time?
It's called a fever.
I think because when you are a Puritan, you should not be ill because you are so close to God. How would you fall ill?
That's very interesting.
And if you're falling ill, then you must have done something to anger him.
And they're not going to take responsibility.
Exactly.
Wait, what?
You don't want to accept responsibility that you've done something to anger God. So the only other explanation, instead of being like,
it's a witch
someone
involved.
made me ill.
Right.
I didn't make myself ill.
So you have to blame someone instead of just being like, no, I'm just sick. I just have a cold.
That's wild.
I mean,
Dina's like, I'd like to speak to your manager.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. You haven't heard of a cold?
Yeah. Well, maybe then they were very suspicious of colds.
No, that makes sense. Okay.
Green boogers, clearly a witch.
No, thank you. Okay. Thank you. Continue.
Yeah. So obviously it was witches.
I want my gavel. I'll allow it.
Yeah. So this lady, this Anne, I think she might have been the original Karen.
Stop
Just
it.
gonna throw that out there. Anne named several women that she felt like she was being attacked by. And one of these women was Elizabeth Seeger. Crazy. Okay, so a little bit of about Elizabeth. Elizabeth was a married woman. She was married to Richard Seeger. He was a property owner in Hartford, and she was known to be outspoken and opinionated. Traits that often drew attention in a time when women were expected to remain quiet and obedient. Rumors started to spread that she had cursed neighbors, bewitched animals, and spoken against God. In 1663, she was brought to trial for witchcraft, accused of entertaining familiarity with Satan. The court found little solid evidence, and she was acquitted.
Okay,
that's fire. That's pretty good.
I like that, though.
But it didn't erase any kind of suspicion of this woman.
But there was no evidence to prove it.
Okay.
To me,
I like this.
Oh my God, people in Connecticut actually have some common sense.
Sure.
Okay.
Shocking.
Right?
Love it.
This was just number one, right? This is just the first time. And just all because some woman got sick and was like,
Do men in Connecticut have common sense?
I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say our girl Elizabeth was probably a dime piece.
Yeah.
She was probably hot as hell. Okay, keep going.
Because
Let's
yes,
see.
that's
I'm
a
gonna look it up.
perfect way to
Okay.
explain it. Because later that year, the same year, she was indicted again. Except this time for adultery and blasphemy. Alongside the renewed accusation of witchcraft. So she again was accused of witchcraft, but also because she, was committing sins.
With
against
who?
God. It doesn't say.
What's his name?
But
Who you is.
here's what witnesses claimed. Witnesses claimed she had appeared to them in the night, struck them, and vanished. Others said she used witchcraft to tempt the men of the village.
Yeah, she was hot as hell.
Okay.
Come on.
All right. So
I see
Literally hell.
I see the movie.
Me too. Me too. You know what it reminds me of in Practical Magic when
I was just gonna say
their mom is
yes,
so beautiful
yes,
and she like all the men fall in love with her.
yes.
Okay.
But it's like the curse, right?
Yeah.
Because she's beautiful.
Owen's woman.
She at the end of the trial, the court found her guilty of adultery, but not of witchcraft. So
what's the sentencing for adultery?
They sentenced her for adultery, which could be death, but she was spared execution.
Oh,
Okay.
because she was so hot.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't really say. I couldn't find anything where it was like she was just released,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe she just stayed in jail. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I couldn't find anything to like specify that period of time, because then in 1665, 2 years later, she was again
This poor
put through
woman.
court for a third time, and she was accused. This time, she was accused of witchcraft, and she was found guilty. And by law, the verdict meant that she would be executed. However,
Dun, dun, dun,
ding,
dun.
Is this where the cutie pie comes in?
Yes.
Okay.
Sir Colonel, nope,
Oh,
that's
no.
not the right word.
No.
The colony's governor, John Winthrop Jr., who was known to be quite the skeptic of witchcraft claims, he determined that the jury verdict did not legally match the wording in the indictment. And in other words, there was a procedural error, which then got her off, and it was overturned. And so in May of 1666, she was released.
What is the saying? You must acquit? What is
I don't know that saying.
Oh, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
I don't know it.
Something legit, and we must quit.
So she's, again, this is the third time she's released. After she's released, she and her husband leave Hartford. That's
probably a good call.
for
That's
the
like
best.
a really good call.
And this is kind of where it's a little bit, again, like I don't know how anyone could really know this, but it's said that she moved to Rhode Island, where she lived a very religious life and was and had less accusations after that point. And she lived a very quiet life until she passed. But there's no record that tells when she died exactly. But she went down in history for the one witch that was tried 3 times, but then in the end was never hung.
She a witch.
She a witch.
She a witch.
Yeah.
That's why she got out of it. She was like, oh my God, these fucking
Are
idiots.
you kidding?
Hey, Johnny Wynn.
But like, also,
no, I
my
think she was just
question-
the luckiest woman ever.
Who was hot as
But,
hell.
Yeah.
but then also her husband stays with her. She leaves with her husband.
Obviously, she's so hot. He's
Right.
not going anywhere.
Right.
He's like, I don't care if you're a witch.
So,
I'm gonna hit it one more
Elizabeth
time.
Seeger.
That's our girl. Yeah.
And her famous quote, just a little tagline
Oh, I
for
do
the
love that.
end. They seek my innocent blood. Period.
That's
Yo,
fire.
Why does she remind me of Lavinia Fisher?
Ooh, Lavinia. What's good, girl? Yeah, but Lavinia was fucked up.
Yeah, she was. She was.
She was
Killing
some
all
issues.
kinds of people.
But
Lavinia's
yeah.
like, I'm not a witch. Shut up and die.
Not for nothing. I think that might be the best story.
Yeah, that's a
Pretty
good one.
wild. Can you imagine? Okay, I'm a very visual person, so when I'm reading these stories or thinking or diving into this stuff, I immediately go to Outlander because I just visualize the trials. She had to sit through 3 of those trials. You know, like the one trial that we see in Outlander, it takes several episodes to get through. Can you imagine?
Also, can you imagine being such a hot woman and then your jury is all women who hate you for being such a hot woman and
Yes.
you're like, oh my fucking God. Just throw a man up there. I'll be
Yes.
fine.
Yes.
Well, I really am impressed by everything I read about John Winthrop because his skepticism
Yeah.
for spectral evidence,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That was huge for
Yeah.
that time. That
Yeah.
that a man, as
Duh.
Deo likes to say,
That's me.
like literally is walking in and he's got that like science foot forward, and he's actually looking at the law, and he's just like, no, we're not
Right.
doing this, you know, like
It's
that.
not opinion. It's
Yeah.
not like speculation. It's like, no, this is
not what's
need.
written.
He was an
Yeah.
alchemist, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's all automatically going to go to the
Mhm.
science side,
Yeah.
right?
So, and then that makes me think, and also make that connection back to Salem, that because again, this is what decades before Salem, they didn't do that. Spectral evidence, things like that, was totally allowed.
Right.
In Salem, all of this hearsay and all the
Yeah.
crap,
Yep.
right? You were allowed to use that,
Yeah.
which, you know, if you want to tie it back to Outlander, again, it was allowed. Like
Yeah.
you could just say something and it would be taken into account. Again, why that hysteria went as far as it did. In Connecticut, they're like, yeah, we're not going to play that game. If you can't prove it, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And, you know,
what's
much respect for that.
What's crazy to think about is you think about these women, right? Because the majority is women.
Mhm.
The amount of fear these women had to be in every single day, but to know what could potentially happen to them, yet still want to help these people, like giving them, concoctions of herbs and stuff, or whatever they did that people were like, oh my God, so she's a witch. They still did these things.
Very clear of them.
Like, they for sure, like, I don't care. I know I can help this person, so I'm going to help this person. Like, the bravery that is these women that went through this, wild.
It's incredible, and oh my God, I know we can't talk about Outlander all the time, but there's this season of Outlander when they're in the U.S. and they're in North Carolina, right?
Yes.
Claire goes to this house.
Mm-hmm.
The baby's born. She helps these poor people.
Mm-hmm.
They get this doll that this guy buys at a market,
Mm-hmm.
gives it to the brand new baby.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? It's got yellow fever
Mm-hmm.
or smallpox or something, whatever the hell it was.
Baby dies.
And they all die. The whole family dies.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh,
Fair.
this bitch be a witch.
Yeah. And she'd already been
Vaccinated.
She's like,
Right.
nah, I am in a different country.
She's a white
I am a
witch.
time traveler. Like, what is happening? And again, witchcraft. But I know we keep referencing Outlander, but it is a big part of that storyline that is based on these stories.
Yeah. And it does a really good job. Like, it makes it feel very real of the time.
And also, they were German, I believe, that family, right? They were German Puritans. Yes.
Yes.
German Puritans.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
adds up.
It all wraps it up in a nice little bow of Outlander.
Well, it wasn't just women, because I'm going to
Mhm.
tell you the story about the
Mhm.
first couple that was hanged together.
And you,
Oh.
your story takes place in
I'm bringing it
Wethersfield,
back.
correct?
I'm bringing it to Wethersfield, Connecticut.
Which I was really hoping to get
Well, you
out
told me
there
to do it,
this
so.
season. No,
Mhm.
physically. I wanted to
with
go
our
visit.
bodies.
Yes.
With our
Yeah.
bodies.
I wanted to go visit there because it is such a picturesque place. to
I was
visit.
on Wethersfield. Let me pull it up because it's wethersfieldhistory.org, I think it is. And it is gorgeous. Not only that, something I love about Connecticut, Boston's very much like this. They are so intent on keeping the history of that town, the buildings, the history. They are very proud of that.
Mhm.
And I love towns that do that because it's a very American thing. We knock down and rebuild.
Yes.
And
but when you
when you go to
history,
these, when you go to these New England towns, Maine is very much like that, which was our last season.
Long Island, where I just was. that
Long Island.
Very, very historical.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's not a very American thing for us to really attach
Preserve.
ourselves and preserve ourselves to our history. And I really like that. Wethersfield is 100% like that. And I'm going to be telling you the story about Joan and John Carrington from Wethersfield, Connecticut. Although I will say that Joan and John, while they were hanged together in Wethersfield, John he came to Boston in 1653. They came to Boston first. And then, again, there's not a lot of documentation of how or why or when they made their way over to Connecticut. but it seems like Boston was a very popular port town that a lot of people came through. And then they made their way to Wethersfield, Connecticut. So John was a carpenter, and Joan was just a wife. She was just a normal, quiet, reserved, plain lady. But just to set the scene for what Wethersfield looked like in the mid-1640s. So we're talking, it's a riverside settlement. It's on the banks of Connecticut. Very like rough wooden houses, church steeples. And it was a hard life where they were. It was farming. It was on the water. So the winters, because when you're close to the water, it is
cold.
brutal, absolutely brutal. So you've also got wilderness right next to you. So you've got the water on one side, you've got the forest on the other, and you've got all of the elements kind of crashing in on you. So John came over from England to Boston, like I said, and he was a carpenter by trade. So places like this, he's going to do very well because he could fix carts, horse carts. When wheels were broken, he was your guy. He could build you homes. He was helping build churches. Like his contribution to Wethersfield and the beginning of Wethersfield was massive. Speculation, of course. Not a lot of this is documented, but he helped build the bones of what Wethersfield became. So Joan, everyone that has any documentation on her said she was quiet, steady, and capable. She was very much his, I'll keep this good at home because he's working all the damn time. He's out building, he's helping, he's fixing. And they had a few animals. Their estate was not lavish because, again, puritanical society. It's not like you're building homes and you're a developer now and you're getting all this money. It is your job. You have this gift from God. This is what you have to do with it. So they were pretty poor, which again already put a target on their back. And she was a mom. They had a couple children. They had a little tiny farm, and they were just trying to survive in a very harsh part of Connecticut. But that wasn't good enough. So the thing about our boy John and our girl Joan is maybe our girl Joan spoke up a little bit sometimes. And that's not cute.
To her husband or publicly?
No, not to her husband, publicly. And they were a team. Like, they were in it to win it. They did everything together. They were very, very tight-knit. Yeah, think about it. They came from England to America for a better life.
Right.
I know, our little JJs.
Yeah.
And the neighbors didn't love that. And again, the problem with this is we don't know who accused them or why. A lot of speculation, but they think it dates back to the fact that Joan was a little bit more outspoken sometimes. And John is out there building all these things, helping out the society. Why are you so poor? So the neighbors start to spread some rumors about Joan and John and the fact that they came from England to the society and who are they? And then they were trying to say, okay, well, why is their house still standing after these storms? Why are their carts not breaking? Why are these things not happening? Why are they still poor when everything is? Well, it's because a carpenter can fix these things. They don't have to call upon another carpenter to fix these things.
Why am I still poor? I ask myself the same
every
question
damn day.
Yeah.
So in February of 1651, the complaints had begun to pile up, I would say, in a way that people started to notice, right? So now they're marked as witches. Are we saying witch and warlock?
No, men could be witches.
Witches,
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorcerers,
Okay, I
don't understand why men get the cool titles, but whatever.
I like witch better. So their indictment read that, and I have two different separate versions of this. One of them was, not having the fear of God before thine eyes, thou hast entertained familiarity with Satan, the great enemy of God and mankind, and by his help hast done works above the course of nature. Which I think, to be very honest with you, I think that is throughout time had been simplified into language that was a little bit more easy to understand, because the one that I have here from ConnecticutHistory.org.
I feel like that was the nicest way of saying
There are a lot
dumb
of
down.
vowels.
Yeah, it was really dumbed. We are going to be thowing the shit out of this. So not having the fear of God before thine eyes, thou hast entertained familiarity with Satan, the great enemy of God, and mankind by his help hast done works above the curse of nature, for which both according to the law of God and established law of the commonwealth, thou deservest to die.
Bum, bum,
And
bum.
dun, 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 dun.
I just see hocus, but like I just
Same.
see.
I mean, don't we
That's
all?
just
Let's be
I just
the
keep seeing,
most
yeah.
honest
Mhm.
here. But there was a court in Hartford during the trial of this where they were, I wouldn't even say they were tried. They didn't have much of a chance.
You mean Weathersfield?
Weathersfield. What did I say? Hartford?
Sure.
Mhm. That's okay. It's all in
Emily!
Connecticut.
Gilmore. Okay, so this court said that on the 20th of February, which this is very interesting, they would write 1 year behind. Do you know this? The new style of writing, when they would record things as 1650, it was actually 1651.
Why?
I don't know.
Because
Why?
why not?
It translates to 1651 in the new style. Well, the
Idiots.
magistrate, Edward Hopkins, twat,
Hopkins.
and we've got Governor John Haynes, Deputy Mr. Wells, Mr. Walcott, Mr. Weber, Mr. Culloch, and Mr. Clark indicted John Carrington, the carpenter, that he did not have the fear of God in his eyes. Therefore, ex-nay on the ote. But they were hanged on my mom's birthday, March 6th, 1951. So just imagine the end
I
of
just
February.
want to recap
Yeah.
this. They were hanged
Yeah.
because they did not have the fear of God
In their eyes.
in their
What
eyes.
does that
And
mean?
because his shit wasn't breaking like everyone else's. Because he
Mhm.
was the carpenter building it for everyone else.
Right.
That's the guess.
And
That's the
people
guess.
complained.
Exactly. So this was like all
What
of our
happened
stories.
to
Yes.
thou shalt love your neighbor?
That must
Where we
not be
come
a
in.
Puritan.
It's not a Puritan thing. That was probably
thing.
very, yeah.
Okay,
No.
so mhm.
Okay. So obviously, they did not have a chance for juries or defense attorneys at their trial. I don't know why. I don't know what this was. But you read the names. How we talked about before, it's supposed
They
to be
just,
a
like,
jury of
rushed
women.
it
It was
through.
just these group of men, right?
Right.
Mm.
So I wish that we had more documentation on why, but there is a little bit of comfort maybe in the fact that you're going through this with your partner and you're going to die, but then they have children.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have a farm
Yes.
and their things are still there.
Mhm.
So to wrap it up, they denied the charges,
Clearly.
of course, and they said kind of too bad. So just a few weeks. Now we're talking.
That
a
was the
few weeks.
response was
yeah, like
too bad.
Mhm.
Okay.
Hard pass, bro, is really what was written right here.
Mhm.
And March 6, 1651, just a few weeks after their indictment, they were both found guilty and they were sentenced to death by hanging. Unfortunately, there's no surviving record of the execution itself. No date, no place, no time written in the court book. But there's a notebook. Yeah, there's a composition notebook that they found from 1651, marble, black and white. You can't get colored. It's not on the syllabus this year. That they believe is referencing this hanging, and it said, as they held their hands, as they hung their heads, a husband and wife were set to die. On the hill below, the townsfolk gathered in heavy cloaks, standing in silence as the prayers were read. The cold wind swept across the fields as the Carringtons were led forward, side by side, bound by rope, and hung to their death. So, first of all, what like a picture in your head, right? Just like holding your little hands. Holding your little hands. And then right after they died, and did you guys find this in your stories? After these people were hanged, then the town and the magistrate go into their homes to look for further evidence of their witchcraft.
Puppets.
Okay, so when their small estate was inventoried, I don't know what happened to their children, by the way. I have no idea. There's nothing written here. But
I
when
read
there's- go
something
ahead.
somewhere that if a witch was hung and there was no husband to tend to the children, they were given to a neighbor or
oh, great, the same people that got them hung, you
Mhm.
trash people. So when their estate was inventoried, the record showed that 23 pounds, they had 23 pounds in possessions and 13 pounds in debts. They were just poor, ordinary people. They were not powerful. They were not wicked. They were just unlucky enough to stand out when the fear was the strongest.
This is the stupidest story
heartbreaking.
ever, and I don't like it.
I know it's trash. It's a trash story, but so
What are
when
we learning from this, Amanda?
their names were resurfaced in the early 2000s when researchers started to push for a formal recognition of all those that were executed in Connecticut. So when this started to happen, they were exonerated. So
I don't care.
I know. Modern Wethersfield even hosts events to honor them. They read their names out loud, ensuring that they are no
good.
longer forgotten. John and Joan Harrington. And I just want to say one other thing that I think is really, really sad is it probably started, right, with Joan speaking out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pissing off the neighbors.
There we go. Joan speaking out, John standing up for her. Everything goes downhill, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what makes me so sad is he helped Wethersfield existed, became a community because
he was
he
building.
brought there and
Yeah.
helped build all their homes, all their farms, all their fences, all their carts. This poor guy helped build them. He was like one of the first carpenters in this town to help do this.
This is what I don't understand. After everything that we've already just said, we've already just compiled everything that has. Ugh,
I know.
I'm so frustrated. Okay, so you say you don't have evidence of witchcraft. So then, how were they convicted?
They didn't really stand much of a trial. And
On
another
what charges
Yeah.
that they're
they
saying?
didn't have the fear of God in their eyes, and that's all
Yeah.
it took.
What evidence
I
is needed
Yeah.
to convict them of that?
I'm going to fashion a guest here. Wethersfield was not Hartford, right? And in my brain, the way I'm reading this, I think that Wethersfield was like a tinier,
Mm-hmm.
smaller, more underdeveloped area,
Mm-hmm.
and they did not do trials. I mean, these
Mhm.
people were sentenced. It was like a week and a half.
Yeah.
But it's just we don't like you. Boom.
I think it
And there was
just-
another woman hung
So this
with
is
them.
mob mentality. This is scapegoating at
Yeah,
its finest.
Absolutely.
like the group of men were just like, nope, not done.
Do you think it was like, oh, our wives don't like you, so we're gonna get rid of you?
Yeah,
or,
and there
or
was
the men didn't like him.
men did not like
Maybe
him.
there was a jealousy there.
Something, but I do know that there was Goodwife Bassett of Stratford, Connecticut, was part of the same trial, and I'm sorry, Goodwife Bassett of Stratford, and we don't know much about her. We don't know much about the trial either. Just that Governor John Haynes presided over her case, not their case, and tortured her so badly
Oh,
that
God.
she confessed to the crime of being a witch,
Mm-hmm.
and so her hanging was pushed in with theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So it was them and her that were hanged on this hill.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's so funny. I was just thinking. I was like, oh, right.
Hanged is correct. Hung is not. Hung is a jury. So yeah, that's the first couple that man and female that were hanged in Connecticut
And
during the witch trials.
And to just like,
Also, so ride or die, right?
Yeah.
They didn't give each other up like the trash person in our story. Piece of shit, man.
mm-hmm. And again, with this being a capital crime, being that it was like punishable by death, this stayed on the books until as late as 1715, right?
Wild.
But it wasn't even removed entirely from the colony's legal code
Mhm.
until 1750.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a significant amount of time for it to still be there.
It's
that
not little.
I want
It's not a little time.
that I wonder, how many, like, what happened with that gap there,
Yeah.
and
Maybe it was the smaller areas that were still.
trying to hang on to that.
Yeah.
You should check out the Wethersfield Historical Society page. It's wethersfieldhistory.org because they talk a lot about that stuff.
They,
Yeah.
they really have some really great websites. But I don't know where you can go to visit. That's the thing. I was trying to find some places that if I did go, that I could go for even like a tour or
Yeah,
to
and
check
get
them
some
out.
more.
And I was struggling to see that. But earlier, you had mentioned the reading of the names, and what I confused was the Connecticut General Assembly passed a resolution in May 2023
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
to officially exonerate the victims of the state's witch trials, proclaiming their innocence.
Mm-hmm.
So this resolution was the result of a campaign led by activists and historians with the Connecticut Witch Trial Exoneration Project.
Mm-hmm.
Local communities, including Windsor, have also held memorials, which I think is what you were speaking on, that had Alice Young in it, who was the first person executed.
Oh,
So I really, would love to see how Connecticut has honored a lot of these people from the trials. And I love how there really is a lot of like celebration for them in memorandum for that. But it's pretty wild what this term witch has kind of come to mean from then until now.
Yep.
Which
Which
I feel like we kind of covered, with our interviews. And I love that we've gotten to speak to two people who are self-proclaimed
witches.
Thank you. Practicing witches and how that means so much more than
oh my God, it's such a
than
to
what
me
we would really think about.
I learned so much in those interviews, especially
Yeah.
because they both practice their witchcraft in different ways. But what a beautiful practice it is. Like just such open, wonderful people.
Yeah, what it is to be
What
a
it is
witch
to be a witch is
not-
just so beautiful.
Yeah. And this past Sunday yesterday was the witches paddleboard in
I was
Sleepy
watching
Hollow.
the pictures.
And also this past weekend in Maine, Chris Packard was at the Witch Walk.
I saw that.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
shout out Chris Packard. That looked awesome.
Which
Yeah.
will be many, many weeks after at the point of this.
Yeah, but it's because it's spooky season right now when we're recording. It's October, and it's just really great to see that it's so widely accepted now. And I just think about all these people who were falsely accused, and many people that might have been out there during this time that might have been practicing and hiding what they felt was right.
Sure.
And I just think they'd be so happy now. Which kind of leads me into like a lighter note.
I was going to say, you promised us a fun story to end this episode.
I do, because I have to say that after reading all of these, there's just each story just gets me more and more mad because to me they seem like more and more ridiculous. Like, I'm sorry, that story.
So stupid.
With John and Joe, like it. Yeah. It
Also,
just gets me so
none
mad.
of this is proven or documented. This is all speculation because, again, documentation during this time,
Yeah.
trash.
But it's just to have so many people be indicted, accused, even executed because someone's mad at you. Let's just be honest. It's 'cause somebody is mad at you.
100%.
Like
They
that
don't
is.
agree with something or right. Yeah.
So I had to look into this wonderful folks. No, I'm going to call it a legend.
Okay, I like
She's a
legend.
legend.
I like it.
In my
She's
opinion.
a
She's
Dead
a-
set legend.
She's
Let's do
a
it.
legend.
Legend.
Hannah Crana. Because that's also a great name.
Hannah
Hannah
Crana
Bobana.
reminds me of Anna
Bobana.
Karenina. So keep going.
Okay. She's from Monroe, Connecticut. Have you guys ever heard of her?
Monroe.
No.
Funny enough, she actually, her name popped up on a reel I was watching in connection with some of the people that helped Matt Rife and Elton with Annabelle on Annabelle's tour.
Shout out last episode.
Yeah, yeah. So as I was reading her local legend, it started off beautifully. So I want to paint this picture for you
Okay.
because the three of us have never been to this place called, the location in Monroe is called Gregory Four, like the number Corners. Okay. And it reminded me, I'm going to start laughing. Sorry.
You're allowed to laugh here. You're not going to be accused
No,
of
I'm
witchcraft.
trying to be like JJ.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Dina.
Okay. The story started off situated around the bend from the waste transfer station, shared by the towns of Trumbull and Monroe, is a small graveyard known as Gregory Four Corners. The old burial ground would easily escape notice if it were not for the lore associated with it. And I was like, yeah, I'm hooked. Lore, let's go.
Okay, great. I've got a witch in my town too. So tell me about yours.
Nestled on a steep hillside beneath a parasol of trees, the graveyard seems dark even on the brightest days. A steep embankment separates the front of the cemetery from the main road. You cannot enter Gregory's Four Corners by vehicle. The grounds are accessible only to the modern visitor who dares to enter on foot.
I want to be that.
So I'm already picturing we're going.
Mm-hmm.
We park the car.
Okay.
We start to walk.
Crunch,
Okay.
crunch, crunch, crunch.
But more than
Insert crunch here,
okay,
Katie.
but more than half a century, right, after her death, her name is Anna Crana Hovey. Everybody knows this woman's name. And she's called the Wicked Witch of Monroe. And I'm like, hooked. Let's go. Tell me about it. Apparently everyone in like schools, blah, blah, blah. Like she is a legend that people talk about around Halloween. And I'm like, that's awesome. She comes out in local newspapers. There's accounts and books. I'm like, well, I love that everybody knows about Hannah Karenina, but not the witch trials. I digress. Okay. So.
Touche.
Let me just move your soapbox for you.
Is this the headless horseman to the Sleepy Hollow?
Of Connecticut.
Like
is this their?
Is this the?
She's not headless.
No, but I mean like the legend of the headless horseman.
Her legend.
What it means
like the
to
equivalent.
Sleepy Hollow.
The equivalent of.
She is their version of.
I can see it.
Right?
Our
Like that.
ADHD was so good there just now, guys. She's not headless.
She's got a
She's
head.
not headless.
She's got her head.
No. Okay.
Oh, it's gonna get so
Okay,
good.
go.
Okay. So there's a signpost there, okay, that stands behind her grave. And the date on it says 1761, okay? And it's more than half a century after those trials that we have now just talked about, right? The hysteria, blah, blah, blah. People were still ready to blame their misfortunes on someone. Enter Hannah, okay? So it's 1783 now. And she's got this horrible reputation after the death of her husband, Captain Joseph Hovey, right? Because, of course, he dies in kind of a peculiar way, we'll say. Okay. Everyone begins to whisper that Hannah put a spell on him. They said she bewitched him, which I'm starting to love the word bewitched.
Me too.
Okay? She bewitched him that this morning walk that he goes on, he's in a stupor of some kind that leads him to fall from a cliff to his death.
Okay.
He's hammered.
Obviously it's the morning.
Yeah, but
He's been drinking all night.
He's a captain.
He's a captain. He's a sailor boy. He's been singing songs of shanty.
But I'm so excited to share this next part.
Okay,
with
go
you.
ahead.
Because of his death, she never remarries, okay? And she's older at this point. She decides to live in solitude with her rooster.
I'm obsessed with her.
His name is Old Boreas,
Old Boreas, her
Okay.
cock.
named after the ancient Greek god of the north wind in winter.
Oh, Boreas.
The picture that popped up while I was researching this story was beyond epic, okay?
She's just hanging out, sipping tea like, Boreas, these
Yeah,
bastards.
with her rooster.
Yeah.
Now, apparently this is not a good look, okay? Because in the eyes
Roosters
of,
are
like,
bad.
you really think so?
No.
Oh, okay.
But from a Puritan's point of view.
I thought so too, but apparently these are 19th century Christians now.
So Christians love cock.
well.
Got it.
Cool.
Canceled. Demonetize that episode.
They are jealous.
Okay.
Okay. They like her.
yes. Okay, so in the eyes of 19th century Christians, naming your pet rooster after a pagan god and living on top of the hillside in the middle of a wooded area, teeming with wildlife, you're seen as a witch, right? You must be like up in there practicing whatever it is you're doing. Now, let's also add in that witches tend to have familiars, right? Yes.
She's just up there reading smut.
Puritan smut. And it's like, he hath looketh at my ankleth, and Ieth cometh. And my cock is named Boreas.
She just stirring the pot.
She sits, there's no one on the hill, and she's just like, ooh, it's my calf. Did you guys see it?
Oh my God, that just made me think of the monster, like Ed Gein when he's outside.
No, stop. No. For those of you listening, the monster Ed Gein season just came out.
No, I can't.
Our
Okay.
timeline is.
So, familiars, right? Thought to be demonic spirits that assume the shape of an animal in order to serve this witch. Just in case we don't know what that is. Now, I don't even know where to take that because now all I can picture is,
Ed Gein?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
They also have these characteristics of being mischievous,
Troublemakers.
lively, trouble.
Yeah.
And our rooster friend has these characteristics, but the best characteristics of his is that he apparently prefers to crow at midnight.
Okay.
I love him.
Great.
Okay,
So
right?
he's howling. He's crowing to the moon.
Yes.
Cool.
Which is an hour that is also known as the witching hour,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
So he's also not helping the situation. Okay.
Fucking Boris.
Rooster
Yeah.
me roostering.
Cocking? Like, what are we talking about here? Cocks be crowing? All right. So anyway, we know people during this time are extremely superstitious, right? And especially now that they're crowing at an hour after sunset, communication that could be with the supernatural realm. They're also saying that this could be foretelling somebody's death.
Mm.
I mean,
Yeah.
these are all the signs.
Can we just pause for a second? I would just like to say this on record. Kyle, if you could design some merch for us that say roosters be roosterin' with a rooster crowing at the moon, I would like one. I'll purchase it with my own money
Love it.
because that is all I can see now is him just like,
But I'm just thinking of the bird that's in Moana.
that's exactly what I was thinking. Alrighty. Things are going off the rails. Bring us home, Batty.
Roostering
Okay.
at the moon.
So all of these things. She's described as a cantankerous old woman, which great word.
That is
Okay.
Such a good word.
She's widowed, she's old, and she's also said to have these powerful abilities somehow. She can like curse you. There's stories of someone that was fishing on her property that she asked to leave. He said no, so she cursed him that he would never be able to catch a fish again.
Of
and
course,
he
right.
never could.
I
Of
really
course.
do want her to be a witch. I want
Yeah.
you to know that.
Well,
Like-
he never could catch a fish again.
Good.
I'm just
As
saying.
he shouldn't.
Her neighbor, like this story kept coming up that her neighbor had a pie that she really wanted a piece of, and the neighbor gave it to her, but apparently it was a small piece, and she was like, basically like, why didn't you give me like a bigger piece? And the neighbor, I don't know, didn't really know what to say, so she cursed her that she would never be able to bake another good pie, and then like that happened, you know. So like,
This is incredible.
Yeah.
I see.
so like
I see.
things are
Okay.
happening.
Okay.
But the thing is, apparently there was also a drought that summer. So the people of this area turned to her and they're kind of like, do you think you could do something about that?
No, see, this is where I draw the line.
Oh, but she did apparently do something and then it rained. So apparently it's convenient when it's convenient to them, she can help.
Right.
So things are happening. She's leaving trails here, okay? Then December 1859 comes and it's around Christmas. I hope you all are ready for this because
If you tell me Boris died,
old Boreas
Oh no.
passes away.
no.
He's a real old rooster.
Yeah.
Oh.
She's grief-stricken, obviously.
Obvi.
And she makes this final resting spot for her beloved pet in the exact center of her garden. And it's said that she buried him beneath the stars that night.
No, that's not what they do.
No.
Never mind. Sorry.
After performing a bizarre funeral service. So many believe that the only time Hannah ever cried was on this occasion. And she said, no.
One up for our boy.
I would also like merch that said, R.I.P. Boris. Now I will soon depart this life. Most people believe that she was stating the obvious, that because her familiar has passed, that it was going to be her time soon as well. Well, in a couple of weeks, she eventually starts becoming ill, and she's going downhill. She starts looking frail. She's not leaving the house, so on and so forth. People even start believing that they're hearing wailing coming from her home. The end is nigh, okay? So supposedly this neighbor goes to check on her, and she says that she has specific instructions for what's going to happen when she passes. She says, I must not be buried until after sundown, and there must be ample pallbearers to carry me to my gravesite. She tells these instructions very... I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm sorry, Katie. All right. She has these instructions, and she infamously added, my wishes must be followed, or trouble and vexation shall fall upon you.
No.
Great reaction. The local lore claims she was found dead in the doorway to her home the next morning.
Oh.
R.I.P. Hannah. But can we trust men to
No.
carry on these wishes?
Especially if they think she's a witch, they're not going to want to.
See, for
do
me, I was just
anything.
like, did you write it down? No. They probably didn't remember. No, they remembered. They're just lazy. All right. So her neighbors, they tend to the body. They arrange all the funeral, the burial procession. They do all the things, right? Now, there was a guidebook to cemetery research by a woman named Sharon D. Bartolo Karamak that explains that there are 2 reasons for certain customs when it comes to carrying a body in its coffin, feet first out the door, which I found very interesting. First, it's symbolic of life's journey for the deceased to be carried out feet first, since a person is born into the world head first.
I love that.
Secondly, it was believed that if a corpse left the house head first, the dead person's spirit could entice the living to follow them into the grave.
Okay.
Interesting.
On the afternoon that Hannah's body was carried for its burial, the town of Monroe was covered in snow. The pallbearers decided it would be too tiring to carry Hannah over the hillside to Gregory Four Corners by hand.
Did they just push her down the hill?
Oh, no. It's
Okay.
even worse.
Okay.
So putting their own need for ease and comfort above Hannah's last request, they place her coffin on a sled. That's not what she asked for.
No.
So they start bringing her down, and the coffin falls off the sled and slides halfway back to her house. She's like,
I told you.
do it again.
Yeah.
So they're unnerved at this point, and they place it back on the sled, and they use chains to secure it. And a few of them decide to keep it extra secure by sitting on top of it. At first, it starts to seem like it's working until they reach the crest of the final hill, and then the coffin begins to shake so fiercely that those who sat on top of it tumble off and onto the ground. So now they're like, oh, this bitch is serious. Okay. And the terrified group decide to carry her the rest of the way by hand. So, hand and foot, Hannah Crana was delivered to her final resting place shortly after sunset. As they return to her home, they hear this loud clap of thunder, and a huge bolt of lightning hits her house and engulfs it in flames. So now they're straight up terrified. No one will go near the house, and the house burns down. So the fire is said to have smoldered for days afterwards. So there's no place to visit now. But many Monroe residents believe that if you visit the gravesite of Hannah, you must leave some token at her headstone or you will face ill fortune. It is also widely thought that if you leave a gift to appease Hannah's spirit, she will grant you the good fortune you desire and not follow you home. But there's this so-called urban legend of the town now that goes along with people kind of getting their driver's license or learning to drive, or I don't know, drivers in general, that on misty nights, there's a specter of an old crone in this vicinity that appear on Spring Hill Road, which will cause a driver to lose control of his car and possibly life and crash into the gravestone of Hannah Crana.
Well. I love me some urban legends.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the best ones I ever heard.
That's really good.
Because I'm just picturing, I'm like, so what if it's like a really nice night out? Like, does the mist just like roll in?
That's what I want it to be. It's very, I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? When like the,
I just watched that new one.
oh, was it good?
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
okay.
pretty good.
I'll
I liked
watch
it.
I'll watch it.
I'm just like, do you tempt fate and like wait for it? Or I don't know, but I just feel like you have to.
If we go, I'm going to give a gift for her rooster. Or let's get a little Moana chicken plushie and put it on. I think she'll like that.
Yeah. I think
she'll
he
like
would like that.
I think, oh, Boris was so cute, baby.
It made me think of mine, and I was just like, listen, lady, I would totally live alone with
Same.
my familiar. Like, don't you let
Absolutely.
don't you let anyone shame you for that, honey.
100%.
Yeah, that's the life.
Well, I love urban legends like that because they are rooted in fact, but then the town just how many years later is still
Sprinkles in a
yeah,
little bit
they're
of-
still
Mhm.
let's modernize this and make it we want to keep this witch alive.
Mhm.
They're also probably still terrified of her.
Mhm.
I mean, straight up, you're just trying to make people slow down around that curve.
100%.
Oh yeah.
But it does make me wonder because as I was looking through some of these websites with this story, one did mention that the headstone does look newer than everybody
Oh.
else's. And I was
So
like,
it's been replaced.
right.
Mm.
And I was just
Okay.
like, what? So did somebody drive into that?
Okay.
I bet someone did, and that's where the story like the
Originated from.
Yeah.
Mhm, mhm.
I love tracing it back.
Me too.
Who said what?
Wonder if you could find it in a news article,
Oh, without a doubt.
like a local crash.
I'm telling add it to my murder wall.
Yeah.
You need to do a picture of that and post it so people can see it.
It's under construction right now.
Okay. Okay.
There might be a map of Connecticut there.
With
a
pins
pin.
in it.
Yeah.
We have pins in it. I love that. I love witches. I love talking about this stuff.
Mhm.
I also love debunking something that so many people when I out in the world tell them, yeah, we do a podcast, this is what we talking about, blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
They're like, ooh, have you done Salem? I'm gonna love being like, no, but I did Connecticut, bitch.
You know I'm going
See
to love
episode
that.
1. Yeah. But
I-
I'm excited. I think we need to dive more into these urban legends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Connecticut really opened. I think Connecticut was such a hidden gem because I would never have thought such a small state had so much to uncover.
Mhm.
And knowing so much about Salem, I'm so glad there was so much more to learn that happened prior to
Mhm.
Salem.
Mhm.
And that it wasn't just about like a group of women and this hysteria that happened, and that Connecticut has all of this misfortune, but all of this like kind of
Laws, trials,
Things that
proceedings.
that like kind of all these things that transpired from it that
Mhm.
Agreed.
hopefully helped end the hysteria,
Mhm.
at least in that state.
Yeah.
Maybe
For sure.
protected and saved some people. That makes me feel a little bit better.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Now, with urban legends, I don't know if they've saved anybody, but maybe because they're supposed to warn people.
Yeah.
That's technically their job.
Yeah.
An urban
so
legend.
on the next episode, we're gonna find out.
I can't wait. There's so many.
Stay tuned for Connecticut's urban legends. Yeah, I'm excited for that one too because when we had started looking into this, that is what popped up first for me.
Mhm. There's
There's
so
so many.
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
gonna
yeah.
have to
Yeah.
a really hard time picking some.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I have them in my notes right now, and I think there were like easy, almost 50.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So until
All right.
next time.
Until
So,
next time.
yeah, you better-
Welcome to Connecticut.
You better get on the horn and hit us up on socials, and I want to know what your favorite.
If you're from Connecticut, right?
Yeah. Send us our stories. We have an email address. So if you want to hook us up with stories
From anywhere.
And
Any story whatsoever.
email us. It's on our website.
Boom.
Isn't it Folktown?
Folktownies at folktownpodcast.com.
All right. Folktownies at folktownpodcast.com.
Remember, they didn't burn witches. They burned
Women.
Bye.
Bye.